A motion by Helmut.
Welcome to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we're here to talk about what goes on in the village, the township. You know, those people that make laws, regulations, and, ordinances that affect you out there.
That's right, Elgin. And whether you live in the village of Oxford, the village of Leonard, Addison Township, or Oxford Township, these are the people that you went and elected. And the commissions and the committees that make decisions that could have directly affected you if you had gone to that meeting. But the result can be a taxing situation.
Well, like David said, if you don't attend those meetings, you're going to get what you get. Now, the thing is, what you get with Minutes by Minute is a few rumors, mostly this guy, and also what else?
A little bit of humor.
Lots of humor. Could be a lot of humor
It's
generated from
cousin.
these meetings. That's writing cousin. Yes. And let's talk about some of the humor that went on. And
Okay.
we're going to talk about the Oxford Village Council meeting.
Always interesting.
We will do that. The Oxford Village Council meeting was held on March 13th, 2018 of this year.
Okay.
And people serving on that board, of course, is Sue Bassardit, Eric Dolan is the vice chair, Maureen Helmuth, Joe Frost, and David Bailey serve on the
Okay.
board. And along with them, sitting up front was the village manager, Joe Madure, and let me see, Drew Benson, who is the intern,
Okay.
and Bob Davis, who is the attorney.
Okay.
Usually sits there. They don't go far without the attorney.
Sounds like a deep bench.
It is a deep bench. Okay. They did the pledge, of course, handled the preliminaries, got them out of the way. The agenda was changed somewhat, the order of sequence in which they were to be performed that evening, and Sue Bassardit, the chair, made those changes. If you want to know more, you can go to occtv.org and catch the actual meeting out there. Presentations, no presentations this evening. So,
Oh.
yeah, so they're going to cut it short. Ha ha, well, don't you wish? No, this went on for a while. Call
I knew
to,
when you said that.
call to the public, non-agenda items. You know what happened there?
How were those shoes?
Pretty shiny. Nobody responded, so there was no action taken there. Consent agenda consisted of the minutes for January 23rd, 2018, and those were received and filed. And under the consent agenda, Public Works Activity Report, also for February 2018, was received and
When
filed.
they have a consent agenda, does that mean it's non-controversial?
That's a good question. Take a note. We can work this out later.
Well, just pass them en masse.
Right. It's a good way of cutting a meeting short by putting all these items on there and then handling them as one big agenda.
Unless someone
slate.
raises their hand.
Unless someone raises their hand. And we already saw that when their opportunity came, nobody spoke up, right?
Oh, that's true.
At the beginning. So that probably won't happen. The Public Activity Report also, Public Activity Report. Public Police Report, Activity Report, was also received and filed.
Anything interesting?
Well, there were. They had your address down a couple times,
Oh, well.
but they're not supposed to use erasures, but they did for this particular case because
As
they
long as we
they
keep
said they
making
know
milk and cookies, they'll keep coming.
they
No.
could do that. You're thinking of Christmas.
Yeah, it's always
Santa Claus.
Christmas.
It's
Kinda like
Christmas
Frankenmuth.
in the village, yes. Let me see. Ordinance Code Enforcement Activity Report was also received and filed for February 2018. Then they went to the minutes for February 27th, and they did approve those minutes. Okay? Bills for last month was $221,302, and get this, 27 cents. Get your
Wow.
checkbook out.
Someone
Okay.
can't round.
Some can't round. That's like what square pegs can't fit in round holes, something like that. I don't
I
know.
don't know, you've tried.
I've tried to do that. You can seem to make it work. I can't seem to make it work.
Heavier hammer.
That's all it takes. But what do you do with the splinters? I mean, you got a splinter here, a splinter there, splinters everywhere.
They fit into smaller holes.
But in the smaller holes. Okay, this is another subject for another time, right? Take another note.
Another time, another place.
Okay, monthly budget report and budget amendments. They reviewed the expenditure report for the period ending in February 2018, February 28th, and also reviewed the cash summary. And by the way, Helmuth, Councilmember Helmuth, kind of objected the way this was laid out, the report, that she didn't feel it really gave her exacting information, what she really wanted in a report. So they did discuss this somewhat, and they agreed that they would, the village manager would take another look at it before they present the next report for next month.
Did have a bottom line, right?
It did have a bottom line.
Okay.
It was rather bottomless, but it did have a bottom line.
Okay.
Yeah. Hello, hello. Yeah, that kind of deal. Kind of an empty feeling you get, right? In the budgets.
As long as there's something left, everyone's happy.
As long as something is left, yes. Should be a lot left because that'll make them really feel good. Especially the people that live in the residency, you know, in the outlying village within our area.
Oh, that's true.
Confines. Yeah. Got money, we'll furnish whatever necessary. Unfinished
He promised.
Yeah, and if I don't, he will. He'll write a check for it.
Oh, sure.
Unfinished old business. Let me see, what happened there? They discussed snow removal. And that old snow problem that we were talking about. But this time, snow emergency.
Give it a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be all gone. Actually, Eric Dolan, he pointed out the fact that by the time you get ready to enforce the snow ordinance, you know, keep the sidewalks clean and so forth, he said they wait for it to melt and then there's not a problem anymore.
I think it goes back to timing is everything.
Right. Well, it does, but he's saying that, look, you know, you should catch it before the snow melts. So anyway, so that's what they're looking at and being able to do that. Let me see. Don Brantley said that, what did he say? He said, as far as parking cars on the side of the road, he said there's about 30 to 40% of the people that don't take their vehicles off the side of the road, allowing the plows to come along. Can you say kabang, kabang, kabang? No.
Is there,
You have to go around them.
are there signs that say parking between these hours but not these hours?
There are a couple of streets in town that do have that signage, but most of them do not.
Okay.
And it's all reference to the ordinance. And of course, the ordinance needs some adjusting. And that's all Eric Dolan is saying. Derek Dolan, council member, is saying that these need to be reapproached, and also that these ordinances need to have some teeth in them.
Not to mention a little communication that tells the residents when they can and can't do it.
Right. And actually the station here, we could provide that information.
That's right.
You know, we could do a scroll on the TV screen on those days when, you know, we're expecting blizzards and you shouldn't have your vehicle out on the street. But as far as parking vehicles on the street, there are certain situations that...
Are we talking side streets here or 24?
Side streets, not
Okay.
on 24. When you're on 24, you're under state requirements.
Okay.
And so, and they don't pay much attention. They'll just plow your vehicle right off the road and off to the side. You ever notice that? Oh, by the way, you just picked your car up, right? Okay, we'll talk more about this when we come back, folks, right after this. Welcome back to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we are talking about the village council meeting that they had just recently, actually sometime, March 13th. 13th, lucky day. Anyway, new business that occurred, emergency services contract, CDBG. You know what that is, right? Community Development Block Grant. Okay, that comes about once a
I
year.
kept silent just because I was testing you.
Sure you were,
Sometimes you ask and you don't know.
That's right. This time I should have threw the line out and see if I had any bites. But anyway, I didn't.
So this was a
So-
block development for what?
And actually it's for emergency services.
Does that apply? I guess it does.
Yeah, it does. And it concerned the organization FISH for Orion and Oxford. And also
They're under
Love
emergency
Incorporated.
Are
Love-
they under emergency services?
yeah, Love Inc. You know, if, for example, for food distribution, that kind of thing. You
Oh,
got
yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just thought
You
it'd
got to
be a
get
different
food.
title.
Got to get food somehow, clothing somehow. Got to get somehow a roof over your head.
True.
And actually, that's what Love Inc. does. They work through the churches. For example, Christ the King Church and others in this area in Oxford. And they also cover a number of areas in Oakland County. They do work for Addison Township and Leonard and,
Lake Orion. Yep.
So anyway, these two organizations wish to get the allocation, which was $3,000 allocation for the block grant. And when all was said and done, it was approved to provide the $3,000 to Fish. That was a long way around, but that's where they got it.
Okay.
Anyhow, they've received help before. Quite a great organization in this area. They're just moving to another location, by the way, off M24.
That used to be the tool and sport place.
It was, and actually the owner, I understand, is completely redoing it for them, so that
Oh, that's very nice.
when you folks come in to shop, for your groceries, it'll be laid out like a little grocery store. And I understand the gentleman is toting the expense, for
Wow.
the building.
So they're moving out of their location in Thomas.
They are doing that. Now, this could be a rumor, folks, and it would be spread by him first. But I
Sure.
happen to be able to second it, so that's how we'll handle this one.
So we're both in the same sinking boat.
Both in the same sinking boat. You got it. Okay, so they also, the next subject they talked about was a resolution to authorize signatures for the bank. Remember, we talked about that before.
Who can sign?
Just everybody, willy-nilly. I mean, there's a whole, you're probably even on the list.
Willy-nilly?
That you can go to the bank.
I didn't know he was a
Yeah,
member.
willy and nilly.
Okay.
Could go in, from Oxford Township
So
or
now,
village.
how many?
Oxford
can,
Village,
How
not
many
township.
can actually sign now?
Well, now they're suggesting 4 people: the village manager, the treasurer or clerk, or combination thereof,
Yep.
the council president,
Yep.
and the vice president
How many
of
is
the
that?
council. 4 people.
Or 5?
Well, it could be 5, but I said a combination
Yeah.
of treasurer, clerk. Could be one person.
Could be. Could
If,
be 2.
if it's going to be 2, then there might be 5. But they haven't really approved this yet.
Oh dear.
So you get where this is going?
In circles.
Circles, right. Well, right now, considering they have your name, everybody else's name, probably you folks out there, you have your name on the list too. And you just pull up to the teller and you tell them you want $80,000 and they'll just give it to you.
Really?
So they want to,
Really?
yeah. And that was what Sue Basardet pointed out, as a chair.
Excuse me, I gotta go.
No, you don't have to go. I told them take your name off the list the other
Oh,
day,
good.
so it's not on
Thanks a
there anymore.
lot.
You got it. Okay. But anyway, win some, lose some, you lost, okay. West Nile virus, you want to catch it? No. Don Brantley made a presentation that the county supports the West Nile virus protection with these bricks. They're a...
Bricks or donuts?
No, they're bricks.
Are they?
Yep.
Last I saw, there was like little donuts that
We could call them briquettes.
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 That's little bricks. And
I
anyway,
thought they were in
so
the shape of a little donut, though, a little torus.
no, that was the old-fashioned one. That was probably 100 years ago.
Oh.
That's probably when you were out throwing these bricks around. But anyway, they're going to, of course, put them in storm sewers, that kind of thing, not sewers, but drains.
Oh, these sound
Storm
like big
drains.
ones.
Well, no, they're just little briquettes. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Briquettes. Okay. So anyway, so it was approved, so it's going to go forward. Employee health care program was the next thing that came up. Joe Madur presented quite a program to the village council. And what has occurred is that a number of the people that are employed by the village that are on this health program are upset in the fact that it takes them forever sometimes to get their money back, from the health program. And so he's investigating the Blue Cross Blue Shield program along with others. And as he pointed out, that he wants to make sure that the people that work for the village, that they don't have to have this worry.
They've got a pretty good
how to
program,
fill it
too,
out.
don't they?
They do, but he's looking to make it better for these folks out there. So that's a good move. he said right now it's tough on employees and he wants to make it easier on you folks. And Blue Cross Blue Shield seems to be the route at this point.
Okay.
But he hasn't really made a decision yet. Still doing an investigative thing. And when he gets the information, he'll bring it back to the board. Personal property on, excuse me, village-owned property. Now this is an interesting thing. Did you know that there are people that are storing trailers, motorcycles, and who knows whatever in the pole building behind the administrative building on Burdick Street, the offices?
Yeah.
But they're not paying anything for it.
Oh, I thought
They're just
well,
parking in there.
But they got permission to do it.
Did they?
Is there a mystery here?
There is a mystery here. And that was Eric Dolan's point.
They did it
Did
willy-nilly.
Do they?
I thought that certain people had permission to do that.
Not really, because the village council is the one that's got to give permission.
So how do they get in?
Apparently they leave the door open, they just run in, helter-skelter. And anyway, there's 3 trailers there, and the trailers, there's 2 of them, I understand that the trailers are being parked there by police officers from the village, and they're storing them there. And one is there for an individual, just a person like you folks out there that lives in the community is storing it there. And Eric Dolan says, look, he said, if we're going to give this a free storage area, he said, we better advertise to all the residents that they can now park their stuff in there.
First come, first serve.
Yeah. A better idea, the attorney said, is let's stop these people from parking this stuff here and give them a deadline for getting it out. So Helmuth, Councilwoman
Was it winter
Helmuth,
storage kind of a thing, or what?
No, it's a forever storage.
Oh,
Park it there, if nobody complains, it stays there.
I see.
So anyway, Council Member Helmuth said, let's give them till March 31st. If they're not out of there, she said, let's collect it and have a big rummage sale. No, she didn't say that, but she could have. As a rumor, we could say that, couldn't we?
So be on notice.
Beyond
wherever
notice.
you are.
Yeah, get your motorcycles and stuff, out of there right away. Anyway, we'll be back in just a moment, right after this.
On Friday, it's Fish Day at the American Legion in Oxford. It runs from noon to 8, and we will have over 300 of our best friends enjoying our fish and our carryout. Sure, we have checked it out, and we have found that we have the best cod and walleye in Michigan. Want dessert? It's all homemade by our auxiliary ladies for just $1. For your vets, we have hats, just $5. On the bar side, here's some of our friends. Hi, everybody! On the museum side, some more friends. Hi again! Where you can check out one of the best military museums in the state. All Friday at the American Legion from noon to 8 at 130 East Drainer Road in Oxford.
Welcome back to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we are talking about what went on at the Village Council meeting on March 13th. And one thing that did come up is Eric Dolan said that commercial road officer that was hired to weigh, various trucks running down through town.
Weigh?
Yeah, they'd weigh them, and if they were overweight, they'd ticket them, or if they
That
were
requires,
running.
how do you weigh? I mean, is that a portable thing?
They have a portable weight that they can check.
Really?
Yeah, his name is Superman. He just lifts it up, and no, they have a weight scale that they can measure.
Usually that's a major thing when you see them along the highway.
It is, but also he's catching speeders through town. So that was the reason why this officer was hired, according to Mr. Dolan, Council Member Dolan, and he said that if that's the reason why he was hired, he should not be doing other police work, which he's now being assigned to other work, for the village as an officer. So he said if we need an officer, additional one, he said we need to put it in the budget down the line. And this guy needs to concentrate on the effort he was hired for. Good point.
So he's driving a car.
He's driving a police car.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
With one of those
And,
lights on.
and pulling people over.
Pulling people over.
Not the thing you want to see in your back window.
No, not that thing. You sound like somebody with experience.
It's been said.
Okay, right. Okay, building with vacancy. If there's buildings in town that business people leave, they leave it vacant, they've got 90 days according to ordinance to get rid of their signage on the building.
All right.
That's not being done. One of them in case is the toys. What do you call it? The toy place down there?
Funky Monkey?
Yeah, no. It's electric
There's another
toys.
Oh, for
Yeah.
phones and
For
stuff.
phones and stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
They've
Right
been
on the
gone.
corner there.
Yeah, they've been gone for a year, and that was pointed out.
Okay.
So
okay.
this is another subject they're going to bring up later on, but they just wanted to hit on it quickly. Attorney Davis said there must reflect village image if you're going to be giving out tickets, and that is you should have probably 3 form letters that go out. One is for civil infraction. The second one would be for a misdemeanor requirement, and then the third one would be knocking on your door saying we're taking you to court.
Oh.
And this would be taking care of building problems, that kind of thing as well.
Is that how it's working now?
That's not how it's working now. They go up to the door and they say, "Do you know what you're doing?" "No, what am I doing?"
Is that the same as, do you know how fast you were driving?
And it's a $15 ticket. They say, "Oh, so what? Next time, we'll get another $15 ticket." Well, watch out. They're going to raise that rate, folks.
$15?
They'll come back and bite you. Yes.
Oh,
So anyway,
that doesn't sound too punishing, does it?
right. Also, a concern was that there's furniture being left at a certain business outside on Washington Street, and that it violates the conditions of the permit. So they're going to address that
Furniture,
down the
are we
line.
talking about a restaurant here?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Snow removal, we did talk about that, and penalties. Eric Dolan said violations. There's 5 pages of violations for building infractions. He said there's no teeth to it. They need to take some action and start issuing, those tickets, for those individuals. So his point is well taken here, and also Bob Davis's point that you need to warn people, provide a program, where they can give those people a certain amount of time before
So
they
if someone
with a major
is
fine.
leasing property
Yep.
from another individual, and the first individual puts up a sign, and then his business goes kaput, is it the owner of the property that's responsible, or the owner of the former business that's responsible for taking the sign
Depends on
down?
the contract agreement that the business owner of the building had with the business individual running the building.
Okay.
So he probably has in his contract, certain things that,
So how would the ordinance guy know who to go after?
well, he will go after the owner of the business if it's vacant. And then,
But he's gone.
yeah, no, the owner of the business isn't gone. Only the person who occupied it, the tenant, would be gone.
That's who I was talking about.
Oh, okay.
The owner of the building.
The owner of the building would be notified,
Okay.
yeah. And if the tenant usually has the responsibility to take it down in accordance with the contract with the contract owner of the building. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
Oh, you don't.
the tenant is gone.
You don't get
Probably
it.
in Florida by now.
Tell
and,
me you get it. You don't get it. We're going to go on.
Doesn't make any difference what the contract says. He's gone.
Right, he's gone. Okay, Oxford Village Council, they had a special meeting also the other day, March 27th, a special work session. Sue Bassardet was present, Eric Dolan, Helmuth was present, Joe Frost, and David Bailey showed up late, but he did show up. Attorney Bob Davis was there, and Sue, let me see, I said Sue Bassett, didn't I? Bassardet. Okay, intern Drew Benson was there, as well as the village manager, Joe Madur. They covered the pledge and they went right into this meeting. They reviewed the property that's owned by the village right now, and there's several pieces of property that you folks probably don't realize you own out there, the village has possession of. And so they discussed a number of these different pieces of property. Brought up by Dolan was the parking concerns that they have, which is an ongoing problem, as you well know.
Downtown Oxford on a Friday night.
Oh, pretty rough. You have to park on top of the 2-story buildings.
Oh, the other cars.
Yeah, on the other cars. Joe Frost said that a concern that he has is that because of the space that's available for Village, that they may be looking at a higher density population, for that area, and that's something that needs to be addressed down the line. He's probably right about that. Discussion about Village offices building. Selling the existing location, which they were given authority to do through you voters a couple of years ago, but haven't had any opportunity to
I thought they decided
unload,
not to.
sell it.
I thought they decided not to.
Well, they haven't really decided that. As a matter of fact, the latest discussion they had here was that the property was leveled, according to Bob Davis, that property would be valued at somewhere around $450,000.
Wow.
So that'd be quite
That's
a bit
significant.
if it were leveled as a vacant property. But now the thought is,
But only if they sold it.
yeah, the thought is, right. The thought now is why not keep the section of the building, that's what Helmuth proposed, keep the administrative side of the building, do away with the old side that used to be the township building, and make that part parking area, giving more parking to the village, and also in doing that, creating a new building as such for the village administrative group and for the police department. Similar to what they did in Addison Township,
Oh,
for their building.
Yeah.
See, now their building was an old building. Now if you walk in that building, you can't tell the old from the new
Right.
anymore. They did such a great job. And Bob Davis said that that's what that particular company does, and he'd recommend that, the village talk to this particular developer and discuss that as an option as to what they could do
Is there
with
a
the
question
existing
of
building.
ownership there, or renting, or leasing?
Leasing or renting? No, there wouldn't be, because they would own it. What are you
Okay.
talking about?
No, if that development company owned the property and the building, would they lease
No,
it back?
the developer wouldn't own the property. They'll do the same as what they did for Addison Township. They'll
Okay.
create a whole new environment, whole new building, administrative building, and also create more parking space in that area. That was the presumption, that they have here. So Bob Davis is going to gather more information, and he's going to bring it back to the village council. So what's coming up next?
We've got several meetings at the beginning of April. It's here already.
April's here.
On 4/9 at 7 o'clock, the Oxford Township Zoning Board of Appeals, check it. And 7 o'clock, Village of Leonard Council, one of your favorites. And on 4/10 at 6:30, the Village of Oxford Council, again, will be meeting. And at 6 o'clock, the Addison Township Planning Commission. And on 4/11 at 7 o'clock, the Oxford Township Board of Trustees. And on 4/12, at 7 o'clock, the Oxford Township Planning Commission, and at 6 o'clock, the Addison Township Zoning Board of Appeals. You're just going to have a plethora of stuff to look at.
There's a lot of ands and ands and ands in there. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
Catch you next time right here on Minutes by Minute.
See you then.
Thank you.